After more than 50 years at the National Institutes of Health, Dr. Anthony Fauci is preparing to step down from government work. Karl spoke with Fauci at his home in Washington. He joins us now. Good morning, John.
Good morning, George. Fauci plans to step down after 54 consecutive years at NIH. I visited him at his home. We talked about that remarkable career and the lessons learned from the COVID pandemic.
Hello.
Hey, Dr. Fauci, how's it going? Thank you for welcoming to your house. I'm sorry we kind of messed things up here. We caught up with Dr. Anthony Fauci at the home he has lived in for the past 45 years, almost as long as he has worked at the National Institutes of Health. I vividly remember your very first appearance in the White House briefing room as in one of the COVID briefings, when a reporter shouted out, interrupted you, and asked you to say your name.
I just want to give you a very quick update on the... My name is Dr. Tony Fauci. I'm the director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases at NIH.
I suspect that may have been the last time you were asked to identify yourself.
Yeah, I think so. In fact, a lot has happened since then. That's been an amazing journey that all of us have been through and still are in, actually.
It was a worldwide pandemic that killed more than 1 million Americans.
There were a lot of dark days, obviously a lot of deaths. Was there a day that sticks out to you, or a time period that sticks out to you as the darkest?
It wasn't a day, it was a period. I've trained a lot of Italian scientists in my lab, many of whom went back to Italy and were in the epicenter of the northern Italy disaster there. And when I got on the phone and heard them describe what was going on in the ward, where they were having people packed up in the hallways, and then I said, whoa, we got a real problem here. We have a real problem.
Dr. Fauci became the face of the government's response, a pop culture figure and a political lightning rod.
You were
exactly
deified by some and you were vilified by others.
I actually think both extremes, John, are aberrations of a reflection of the divisiveness in our country.
When did it get all so political?
It got political very quickly because we had the misfortune of an outbreak and a double misfortune of an outbreak in a divided society and the triple misfortune of a divided society in an election year. It was a triple whammy.
What's interesting, though, is President Trump actually has consistently taken credit for the vaccine and praised the vaccine.
Yeah, it's wanting it both ways.
And his supporters are the bulk of the anti-vax movement.
Right. It's weird, don't you think?
Yeah, what do you make of that?
Well, first of all, the idea of Operation Warp Speed, the former administration should be very proud of that.
How much credit does President Trump deserve for that? I mean, he obviously made it a priority.
Well, yeah, his administration made it a priority, okay?
Despite the president?
No. He went along with it. He did. I mean, I don't want to take any credit away from him. His administration, and just as he takes the blame for things in the administration, he should take the credit for things in the administration. That was a positive thing, Operation Warp Speed.
Fauci was often at Donald Trump's side at White House COVID briefings, occasionally contradicting the president he served. But he decided to skip the briefing that became the most surreal of all.
Where were you when President Trump floated the idea of injecting disinfectant?
And then I see the disinfectant where it knocks it out in a minute, 1 minute. And is there a way we can do something like that?
I was at the White House, yeah. I didn't want to go up on there with this because I had a bad feeling about when Homeland Security brought this guy in. He briefed the people in the Situation Room beforehand. And as soon as I heard it, I said, holy this is going to go bad. Why don't I bow out of this one?
What would you have done if you had been standing by the president when he said that?
Well, I would have had said, hey, I would have done this.
Time out.
Yeah.
Fauci became the subject of bizarre conspiracy theories and received countless death threats as he was vilified by the right.
So what's the biggest misconception about you?
You know, I don't know, John. I think the misconception is that I was misleading people. You know, to say that I, who have been advisor to 7 presidents and have never, ever veered one way or the other from an ideological standpoint. For somebody to say that, I'm
Political.
Yeah, political. I mean, that's completely crazy.
Would you take back what you said about masks? Obviously, the guidance changed, but you were very definitive. You said there's absolutely no reason for people to be wearing masks.
Yeah, I mean, sure, if I had to do it over again, of course, I would have analyzed it a little bit better.
Was it a mistake in so many states and so many localities to see schools closed as long as they were?
I think in some case, I don't want to use the word mistake, John, because if I do, it gets taken out of the context that you're asking me the question on.
Well, did we pay too high a price?
Yeah, I would say that what we should realize and have realized that there will be deleterious collateral consequences when you do something like that. This idea that this virus doesn't afflict children is not so. It does. We've lost close to 1,500 kids so far.
But much less than the older population, obviously.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
But you shouldn't discount that it does afflict children. So it isn't without consequences. If you go back, and I ask anybody to go back over the number of times that I've said we've got to do everything we can to keep the schools open, no one plays that clip. They always come back and say Fauci was responsible for closing schools. I had nothing to do.
I mean,
let's get down to the facts.
You're not the head of a school board.
Exactly.
But a lot of schools were closed. There was a lot of remote learning.
Right.
And it went on for in some jurisdictions for the better part of 2 years.
Right, exactly.
And we've seen the impact. We've seen what's happened in terms of lower reading scores, lower math scores. I mean, who knows the psychological impact. Right. I mean, it was a steep cost.
It was. The most important thing is to protect the children.
So is there a lesson here, future pandemics, that one thing is more of a focus on that, is how can we protect the kids and get them back to school?
Exactly.
More quickly.
Do both. And the way you do that, you get the people who interact with the children to be vaccinated and masked. You provide ventilation in the schools. You try to keep them in the schools safely. The most important thing is to protect the children.
How long have you been in your current office?
38 years, 38 full years.
And I'm talking the actual physical
The same
space.
desk, the same chair.
Same desk.
I didn't want to ruin taxpayers' money. I got the same desk.
The same desk and the same chair.
Right.
I imagine just packing everything up is going to be.
It's going to take a while.
And it has to be emotional.
Of course. 54 years ago, I walked onto the NIH camp. I drove onto the NIH campus from New York City as a 27-year-old physician who had just finished his residency training in internal medicine at the New York Hospital, Cornell Medical Center. I have been driving onto that campus every single day, every single weekend for the last 54 years. So I don't even want to think about what it's going to be like when I drive off the campus for the last time. That idea just gives me chills just thinking about that.
How do you want to be remembered?
I want to be remembered as someone who gave everything they had for the public health of the American public and indirectly for the rest of the world. And I just want people to know that I gave it everything I had. I didn't leave anything on the field. I just, I was all there.
Dr. Fauci may be retiring at the end of the year, but Republicans have vowed to drag him before Congress to testify in what they say will be a massive investigation into the origins of COVID and the handling of the pandemic. Dr. Fauci says he's fine with that. He will testify voluntarily. In fact, he says that he is the person who has testified before Congress more than any other person alive today. Over the course of that 54 years. And we looked into it. I think he's right. I don't think there's anybody who has testified more than Fauci.
It is just unbelievable. He walked into the NIH at the age of 27, will walk out at the age of 81.
Incredible. An incredible career. The same desk, the same office for most of that time.
And he's been a steadying presence in American life over that period of time.
Absolutely.
John Karl, thanks very much. Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.